We began with tensions between the United States and Venezuela, which are rising once again, this time on the open seas. According to reports, the U.S. Coast Guard is actively pursuing an oil tanker in international waters near Venezuela. And if the operation succeeds, it would mark the third tanker interception in less than 2 weeks. Now, according to reports, the vessel is part of Venezuela's dark fleet, a group of ships accused of secretly moving oil in violation of U.S. sanctions. One official said the tanker was sailing under a false flag and is already subject to a judicial seizure order. However, as of Sunday, the vessel was not yet boarded as it was approaching Venezuela, and authorities still haven't confirmed its exact location. Moreover, maritime tracking groups believe the ship was added to the U.S. sanctions list last year. And the U.S. Treasury has linked the vessel to Iran, and shipping data suggests it's previously transported both Venezuelan and Iranian oil, including shipments to China. And when the tanker was approaching Venezuelan waters on Sunday, it was reportedly empty. The pursuit comes just days after President Donald Trump ordered a blockade of sanctioned oil tankers entering or leaving Venezuela. Washington argues that the oil revenues are being used to fund drug-related crimes. President Trump has also accused Venezuela of stealing land and oil from the United States.
Getting land, oil rights, whatever we had, they took it away because we had a president that maybe wasn't watching. But they're not going to do that. We want it back. They took our oil rights. We had a lot of oil there. As you know, they threw our companies out, and we want it back.
Caracas strongly rejects that claim, calling the tanker seizures theft and kidnapping.
It's absolutely ridiculous that we have to say, now more than ever, the land of Venezuela belongs to the Venezuelans, and Venezuela's oil belongs to the Venezuelans.
Venezuela's economy is heavily dependent on oil exports, and sanctions imposed during President Trump's first term in 2019 caused Venezuelan oil exports to collapse by more than half within a year. And while the restrictions remain in place, exports have slowly recovered, reaching around 920,000 barrels per day late last year. But it's still far below the country's peak production, but enough to suggest that Venezuela has found ways around the sanctions. Much of that recovery, analysts say, has been driven by the so-called ghost fleet. These ships frequently change names, flags, and tracking signals to avoid detection. Meanwhile, the U.S. has increased its military presence in the Caribbean and has carried out deadly strikes on alleged drug boats. Now, those operations have killed around 100 people so far. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio has described the current Venezuelan regime as illegitimate, saying the Trump administration wants to change the status quo.
The national interest of the United States, specifically when it comes to Venezuela, is as follows. We have a regime that's illegitimate, that cooperates with Iran, that cooperates with Hezbollah, that cooperates with narco-trafficking and narco-terrorist organizations, inclusive not just protecting their shipments and allowing them to operate with impunity, but also allows some of them to control territory, the ELN and the FARC-D.
Now, Venezuelan officials, however, accuse Washington of once again pursuing regime change. And amid these tensions, Venezuela is being backed by two superpowers, both Russia and China. Recently, Venezuela's President Maduro spoke with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin, with the latter assuring Moscow's full support to Caracas. China, too, has openly backed Venezuela, calling out the seizure of oil tankers by the United States.
China opposes any actions that violate the purposes and principles of the United Nations Charter and infringe upon the sovereignty and security of other countries. Venezuela has the right to develop independently and engage in a mutually beneficial cooperation with other nations. China understands and supports Venezuela's stance in safeguarding its legitimate rights and interests.
And as the maritime standoff continues, the pursuit of a single tanker now reflects a much larger struggle over oil, power, and control in a region where the stakes remain dangerously high.
Want the facts?
The latest developments?
News that gets straight to the point.
Well, we've got all three just for you. This is Firstpost Live, a brand new show, your window into what really matters.
Don't miss it.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
Stands at $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor,
Hindi,
$30 trillion ka karz mo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Sekali radikali.
Japanese,
$4 以上mo.
Portuguese,
Por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select a language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.